1, 2, 3. Hey, back to the as we return back from the madness that briefly caught me, in which I believe that was a late night talk show host. Thanks for playing along, everybody. By the way, we're back here talking about some music stuff. Not that we weren't before, but maybe some more. I don't know. This is maybe heavier music stuff. And by the way, I was serious about putting up that Patreon thing, and someone named Giovanni already became a patron. So thank you, Giovanni. I am like, my mind is blown. Like, it would seem like just like a funny joke to me, but really, if I'm gonna do these, anyway. So thank you. So the idea of this one is gonna be actually kind of to do with like a paper that I wrote. About Angus Young. So I love Angus Young. He's the lead guitar player in AC/DC. He's one of my raison d'etre, you know, like I just have always worshipped him, and I kind of have based a lot of my technique on the way that he plays. I don't know if you've noticed, but I use my pinky a lot, and from what I understand, he's a rather small person. So I was always trying to copy him, and so I noticed that he's always using 4 fingers, and so I'm like, okay, well, if he's doing that, I got to do that. I didn't realize that he was such a tiny guy, and that, you know, my hand's pretty big actually, and so it's created some interesting things for me. And yes, Ed, yes, we're talking about AC/DC finally. Though I won't be talking about big balls as you requested. We're talking about some fancy stuff. So anyways, so what I played at the beginning of this, I played 2 things. One of them was, maybe you recognize it, was the intro to "You Shook Me All Night Long" by AC/DC. We probably all know that. But the song that I played that was called the head of a song before that, which is like the melody of like a jazz song, and it's called "Basin Street Blues." And this was what I wrote out while I was. Ed, no, don't worry. Ed, stay with me. Stay with me. This is not going to be about jazz, I promise. So anyways, it's about rock. We're staying about rock. You have to believe me on this. But anyways, I played the beginning of this song called "Basin Street Blues" that I had transcribed. And the reason that I ended up transcribing it is because I had this article in which Angus Young was listing all of his favorite favorite songs. And 2 of the songs he listed were songs by Louis Armstrong. And I'm just like, huh? You know, like how does that make any sense? Like, the other guys they would listen were like Freddie King, like Albert King, and like Pete Townsend, you know, like guys like that. Guys where you would probably expect that, you know, like blues players, rock players, and things like that. But Louis Armstrong, like, how does that happen? And so what I did was, you know, and I had to write a paper on something while I'm doing this musicology thing, you know, like while I was doing my master's, I had to write about something. So, and I had to transcribe something. So why not transcribe some Louis Armstrong? So I transcribed this Louis Armstrong song with the idea that I wanted to try to play it in a way that Angus would play it. Remember how I said that this 4-finger business? So I wanted to write it out with that kind of an idea. And so it kind of there were some pretty interesting results, and like one of the main ones being is that like you almost really could not do it. Like, basically, this is a strange concept, but the trumpet is a different instrument than the guitar. You know, like the things that Louis was doing were, you know, difficult on the guitar just because of the nature of the guitar. Like, he was doing sort of intervallic jumps that are kind of wider than normal intervallic jumps. So like, this is a big intervallic jump. You know, that's a big intervallic jump, right? Like I'm going from one thing to the other thing. Anyways, so he was doing all these really big things where I couldn't play it in, you know, my favorite position, you know, like I couldn't play it in my pentatonic position, and so anyways, that was kind of fascinating. And so then I started thinking, okay, so why is Angus like influenced by Louis Armstrong? Is he just saying this to sound cool? Can you imagine that being like, you know, I'm into Louis Armstrong. Yeah, I wrote Back in Black. Yeah, I love Louis. Like, I don't know, what does he care, right? So anyways, the thing that I figured out, or I don't know, I could be wrong here, is that I think he took his performative, the performance aspect of what Louis did. If you go back and watch videos of Louis playing, that dude is giving it. What is Angus doing when he's playing? He's going mental. He's jumping all over the place. Now, Louis is obviously not doing it to the same extent, but Louis, you know, he's kind of giving face. He's like, I guess some people call it hot dogging. He's hot dogging. I like doing that. Anyways, so, by the way, you notice how I'm wearing my professor jacket because I'm talking about fancy stuff? I'm talking about fancy things. So, anyhow, but the fascinating thing to me is that I associate Louis Armstrong with jazz, right? And when I would go to these jazz school things, it would be like, don't move when you're playing. Don't hot dog on the stage. Don't do anything. You're right, Ed. Louis, as far as you know, he never mooned the audience. As far as you know, Ed, you weren't there. Okay? He's been playing since like 1920-something. So anyways, so that was kind of the thing that took it. Is like Louis was kind of, I think, influenced a little bit by. Now, I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong here, but I did read a quote where he was talking about how he's influenced by a comedian of his day. And so this gets to a broader thing. Another person who was influenced by comedians was Chuck Berry. Chuck Berry was very, in his autobiography, he talks about people that influenced him, and a lot of them were stand-up comedians, which is fascinating. Like the greatest rock and roll, the person that invented rock and roll was aware of comedy. He was aware of the stage presence and things like that. And then if you go and watch Chuck Berry stuff, he's doing the duck walk and he's doing all these things. It's sensational and it's wild. And what's Angus doing? He's doing all that stuff too. So anyways, that's kind of what I took away from it is that you know, performative stuff is important, and that humor and rock and roll go together from the very outset. Whoa. The implications are insane, aren't they? The implications are mind-bending that comedy and rock and roll kind of go together. I think it's true. Anyways, tell me why I'm wrong. That's the point of the show, is to tell me why I'm wrong. Now, I did write out the whole of like the Louis Armstrong solo, but like, I've been practicing it, but like, man, I don't want to like embarrass myself on this. So what I'll do is I'll finish up. I'll do some "You Shook Me All Night Long," and then I'll sign off. And yes, I have activated a distortion thing. Hooray! Still, I'm using the distortion from the Super Octave. Anyways. Now, would you believe that solo if I had not moved while I was doing it? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe had I not been making all those faces, maybe it wouldn't have been as good. I don't know. Anyways, the musical musings continue. And thanks everybody for paying attention and watching me and being nice. And again, thanks Giovanni. That's my brain exploded.